Spice up your lead guitar playing. Coming up on this episode of Conceptual Guitar. Okay, so if you watched my last episode of this series on this channel, I talked about a concept of being able to take a 1-4-5 chord progression, even if it's vanilla and straight and non-blues, let's say it's straight pop chord progression, and how to make it blues, even if it's not blues. To summarize that really quickly, like if I was in the key of C, and there's my chord progression C, F, and G, the idea is to impose the parallel minor, which is C minor, even though it's a major chord progression, make it a pentatonic. So C minor pentatonic, specifically blues pentatonic, you play it over that chord progression. And it's instant blues. So that was the idea last week, and it's kind of like adding some little seasoning to something that would otherwise potentially be vanilla. Of course, one person's spices and maybe another person's dad rock. But I'm going to go with it anyhow. This week, I want to expand on adding the spices to the playing. Except we don't really care about chord progression, what it is. I mean, it would probably be, typically you'd play this stuff in blues contexts, I guess, but you could actually play this stuff in jazz contexts also. But the idea is to find ways to add color to blues playing. So I'll start off simple, and then I'll start to add in some more depth. But as I start giving you these ideas, these are the spices I'm kind of talking about. So I'm going to pick the key of, I think I'm going to use the key of A today. So 1-4-5, as I said, one white, chord progression. So over that, I'm imposing parallel minor with blues pentatonic would be A minor, there's the blues note, there it is again. You can impose that over an A minor or A major even, chord progression. And it's blues, it gives it color. So the blue note that I'm adding to the pentatonic, if you're not familiar with it, because here's the straight pentatonic. Blue note's the flat 5, 1, 2, there's 1, 3, there's 4, there's the flat 5, it's an E flat. There it is again. That note is a way to start making it bluesier. You want to be able to bend that note sometime, like if that's the blue note, you have an opportunity a half step below. The note that's a half step below happens to be in the pentatonic scale, and you're bending to that blue note. You can also try, as you get more advanced with bending, you can do like pre-bends to descend, and you can get into tremolo bar stuff like it's really a Beck and Steve Vai thing. Really didn't mean to go here for this video, but I might as well show you really quick. You can edit this out later if this gets too long, but what I'm doing is going from that D, I'm going to the D flat or E flat, but what I do is I bend my tremolo down first because I'm trying to preserve the pitch, that D pitch. So I bent down as I slid, and then I released it. You can do it fast or slow. Really cool trick. You can do it backwards too, by the way. This time what I'm doing is, from E flat, I bend the tremolo bar down to the D, then I slide down to the D and I release. So pretty cool. So you can do that. Imagine if like this thing's decked, but if it was floating, I could do those types of tricks with ascents as well. So, but I didn't mean to go there. We're trying to find ways to add more color. When I say color or spice to the pentatonic and the blues stuff, I'm starting to think of jazz and adding in jazz elements to the blues. But before I get there, I'm aiming for that direction. Well, let's first capitalize or stand on the shoulders of the blue note idea. There's the blue note, flat 5. That blue note, as I said, it's a flat 6 or flat 5. The other note we can add is the major third, okay? Like if it's supposed to be A minor, and there's the A minor is a C natural on a G string, there's the C sharp, okay? Or on the 6th string, 1st string, you can bend to that note. Actually, I'm bending up to B that time. There it is. There's the blue note bend. And there's the C sharp, so the 3, the minor third to the major third. So those are really, I think of that minor third to the major third, I think of it as another blue note. That's not how music theory teaches it. Music theory technically says for the minor pentatonic, a flat 5 is the blue note right there. And it is technically, but I think of that minor third to major third as another blue note myself. So, but that's if you're not comfortable adding the blue note, you want to work on that one first, and then if you want to work on the next thing would be adding in the major third, even though that's a minor pentatonic scale. Okay, don't add it in all the time. I tend to like it more when my lines are descending than ascending. See? So I kind of skipped that C sharp, went to C, and then came up to C sharp. It's a good way to land that major chord that we might be playing underneath. You can see the 3 and a 7 right there. So that's a second note that I personally think of as a blue note. It's not, from a music theory standpoint. It's just major third, okay? So get comfortable with the flat 5, which is the true blue note, adding it to the minor pentatonic, and get comfortable with adding the major third for all your shapes on the guitar for A minor pentatonic, or pick whatever key you want. Next note I want to introduce us to that adds color, spice to the scale is the sharp 6. The sharp 6 would be an F sharp in the key of A, okay? I picked A because I'm doing A minor pentatonic. It's all white keys on the piano, so naturals. So if you see a sharp or a flat, it's a signifier that it's outside of the A minor diatonic, which is what the pentatonic is derived from. It's all white keys on the piano. So if we get a black key, like at F sharp, then it's a signifier. So it helps us to know the note is a color note. It's going to add some interest to it. It's outside. That's really what it is. It's outside, okay? So that's a beautiful note to add. You hear me bending it to the G. There it is. I was going to do it on, I did it on the 3rd string. I should have done the 4th. There it is again. I even slipped in the diatonic, the B. See, that's the thing you can also start doing, is it's not really going to add color, but you can slip in other notes from that A minor diatonic scale. There's only 2 missing notes. If you do it too much, it stops sounding so bluesy, it starts to get stiff. If you were to... Plus I'm just playing fast, aren't I? But... it kind of loses that blues a little bit, although my phrasing helps keep it, trying to aim there, right? But so really you want to keep things, I want to be careful about adding too many those diatonic notes in from the A minor scale. But think an A minor pentatonic, and then that F sharp, which is the sharp 6, you can add that in. What that note is it's come from, it turns your scale, it makes your A minor scale start to be A Dorian. Because the difference between A minor diatonic and A Dorian is the sharp 6. And so if you know your modes, and I did a video on the subject of modes, A Dorian is the G major scale, starting on the second, let's get my fingers right, starting on the second scale degree, which is A, G major as an F sharp in the key signature. So there's the F sharp. So we're trying to add that, learning to add that F sharp into your minor blues stuff. Oh, look, there's a flat 5 I forget about. That's a blue note versus that sharp 6. There's the major third, okay? So you got 3 notes you can start throwing in to a straight A minor pentatonic, okay? By the way, learn to walk before you learn to run. So, you know, the order of things is learn the pentatonic first, then learn to add the blue note to the pentatonic, that's technically called the blues scale, then maybe learn that major third, add that in, then learn how this the sharp 6 to get that Dorian sound. Dorian really gets us into a jazz thing, okay? Next thing I'll share with you is kind of more of a broad concept, but you might want to just start playing around with chromaticism. A chromatic scale would be like starting on A. What I just did, and you can look these shapes up online, it's equivalent to doing just up and down. It's playing every single note, okay? There's no notes out of bounds. So pentatonic, if I want to add their spice to it, and I'm going to keep A, right? I'm really not thinking much about anything with that. I'm just throwing caution to the wind and adding chromatic notes in. It sounds great, doesn't it? The key is when you know which notes are in and which ones are out, which is why I picked A minor, because if you know you're playing a sharp or flat note, but I know they look the same on the fretboard. That's why pianists have an advantage in this key. The sharp keys, the black keys, tell you which ones are sharps and flats. But if you know your note names, it helps, okay? Even though they look the same and feel the same. Those notes, when I'm hitting them and I'm adding them in, I know they're going to add some degree of tension. And the key to playing those outside notes, you could call them the wrong notes. You can play any note you want. The key is to know how to play, not the notes of the scale, but to play with dissonance and consonance, with tension and release. Hey, if you're liking the content on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. So you just got done watching part 1. Stay tuned. Next week I'm releasing part 2, where we continue this idea of trying to find ways to spice up your playing. But in part 2, I'm excited to show you how to use
a more exotic mode to your blues pentatonics to make it sound more jazzy and outside. I'm going to show you the Lydian dominant mode, which is the fourth mode of the melodic minor, and I'm also going to show you a diminished scale that is very similar to that mode and how you can incorporate that, as well as diminished arps as well. So again, if you like the idea of trying to spice up your playing, you're going to want to really take note of the content in this video and stay tuned for next video coming out soon. Thank you for watching.